Welcome, everybody, to the drivers' press conference ahead of the FIA Formula One Singapore Grand Prix. First group with us now, closest to me, Oscar Piastri, then George Russell and Valtteri Bottas. Very warm welcome to you all. Why don't we start with last weekend's winner? Oscar, it was a phenomenal victory for you. Have you had time to celebrate properly?
No. I got humbled very quickly the next day by George actually playing an Uno World Championship on the plane. So I got brought back down to earth very quickly. No, I mean, it has been a fun few days. I think for myself, it's always nice when you can reflect on a race where you feel like you've done a very good job and a job you can be proud of. So, not too much celebrating, but a lot of happy memories. So, yeah, ready to try and go again this weekend.
Certainly a job you can be proud of. Just how much confidence does Baku give you coming into Singapore?
It is a nice confidence boost, definitely. I think it's similar in some ways, but very, very different in a lot of others. I think we should be competitive this weekend, and yeah, I think the biggest thing I took from last weekend was just the execution of the race from myself and from the whole team, because I don't think it was our most competitive track of the year. I think we've definitely had a couple more races where we've been using a bit of electricity. There's been a couple other races where we've been quicker than that relative to the competition. So to be able to pull off a win like that when Ferrari especially was so competitive was a nice confidence boost, definitely.
Oscar, your race engineer Tom Stallard said after your victory on Sunday that your rate of improvement hasn't started to level off at all yet. In what areas do you think you can still develop as a racing driver?
I think it's still a little bit everywhere. I would say, I've not made life easy for myself in qualifying this year. So, qualifying a bit better, more consistently would help. I think I've been very happy with, particularly the elements I showed in Baku in terms of overtaking and being under pressure and stuff like that. I was happy with, but yeah, there's still going to be some tough races in the latter part of the year on tracks that I've only been to once. So just trying to work on some of the weaknesses I had at those tracks last year is still going to be a key to the end of the season. So, just a bit of everything, because I feel like I'm improving a lot as I go through my career, but I'm certainly not the finished product yet.
Oscar, final one from me. Can we just get your thoughts on the FIA adding a fourth DRS zone here at Marina Bay?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I've seen where the activation is, and it's quite early. So hopefully, we'll get through whatever the next corner is, turn 15 or 16, I think it is, the little kink. Okay, but yeah, I think for racing it should be better, hopefully.
All right, best of luck. Thank you very much for that. George, why don't we come to you now? A great result for you on Sunday, but it wasn't a straightforward race. We're now at another street track with the same tyre compounds that we had in Baku. What learnings do you have from last week that you can apply here?
Yeah, it feels like every race we go to at the moment, it's quite a unique circuit. Obviously, Azerbaijan was very unique in its own way. Singapore's unique in its own way, and it's there's a lot of these types of tracks on the calendar, and as Oscar said, it's so competitive now at the front, and a tenth or two can be the difference between a front row start or P6 or 7 on the grid, which is very exciting. We went really strong here last year. The pace was really good in Singapore, so hopefully we can continue that good performance we had here last year and see where it takes us.
If your car performance is as good here as it was in the second stint in Baku, what's possible?
Yeah, I mean, we were really competitive in the second stint last week. Definitely surprised ourselves there, but I think now this circuit with that extra DRS zone, I hope racing will be slightly better. It's not going to make it worse, that's for sure, and maybe overtaking will be possible. So I think it will still go down to qualifying. That's going to be key. Getting a good Saturday in, and that'll set you up nicely for the race.
As you've already said, you were very competitive here last year. You qualify on the front row. You're going great guns until the moment on the penultimate lap. Do you feel? I don't know. Do you feel that you have unfinished business in Singapore?
No, not really. It's not really something I'm thinking about. It's part of racing, part of street circuits. If you're not 100% focused every single lap, you're going to get bitten. And it was we had a long old race. It was on the last lap. I thought the race was kind of done, and right behind Lando, he kissed the wall. I touched the wall, and before I knew it, I'm out of the race. But that's how the game goes, and it's not going to change my approach one bit. How I go into this weekend, you learn from things like that.
How grueling is this Grand Prix? Is this still the toughest race for the drivers physically?
I mean, for sure, it's top two with Qatar. Here in Qatar are by far the most physical races. I think here is challenging because there's so many corners, pretty relentless. Slightly easier now that we've got that straight at the back versus what it was like a few years ago. But just with the humidity, you're dripping in sweat as soon as you go outside, let alone when you're locked in a race car for 2 hours.
Dripping with sweat, dripping with rain as well. You got caught in a rainstorm the other day, didn't you?
Yes. Singapore.
Paddle.
Yeah, it was. Paddle was obviously the new big thing in Formula One, so it was nice to take all of my mechanics and part of a team. And then it just, thunder and lightning and rain came from nowhere. So I think it's almost every year we see in Singapore there is bad weather around. So, maybe I think that was around race time as well. That was 8 p.m. when it poured down with rain. So if that happened on Sunday, I'll probably mix things up a little bit.
All right. George, thank you for that. Best of luck. And Valtteri, let's come to you now. It's been a tough couple of races for you and for Sauber recently. What are your expectation levels coming into this race?
It definitely has been tough. Few races, not just a couple. Expectations realistically, I don't think it's going to be an easy weekend, as we don't really have any upgrades. But yeah, it is a bit different track to Baku. Different downforce level. If we can get things right, we can be in a better shape. But not expecting any magic, to be honest.
What are the issues with the car that are highlighted around a track like this?
I think for me, for sure, the overall efficiency is not there, and overall performance, as we can see from the results. But I think in the last couple of months we've really understood the weaknesses, especially after Zandvoort. But like I said, not an easy weekend ahead. But we're still here to, of course, trying to do the best. And with this kind of Grand Prix, you never know. It might be the opportunity. There might be that opportunity on Sunday. So, of course, we'll keep pushing and we'll keep trying as hard as we can.
There's a month-long break in the calendar after this Grand Prix. What kind of possibilities does that present in terms of pushing through upgrades, understanding the car better?
It's definitely going to help us. The whole team will have much more time at the factory. I'll be spending some time there as well, in the sim and in the meetings about the direction for the future. So it's important, and hopefully expecting then for the next race after this one to have some new bits, which is something that we really need.
Talking about the future, Alessandro Aluni-Bravi said last week that a decision about the second driver for next year is going to be made imminently. Have you been given a date? Is there a deadline in your mind?
Not really. We've been in talks now for a while with Mattia since he joined, and Alessandro as well. I can't really share much. I might know a bit more than other people, but let's just focus for the racing this weekend, and at least there's then a good time between this and the next race to continue the talks, and then we'll see what happens.
All right. Valtteri, thank you very much. Best of luck to you this weekend. Let's now move on to the next segment. And broadcasters, please. Albert.
Albert Fabregas, ESPN Latam. Question for Oscar. All drivers said that they have a special feeling after the first race, first Grand Prix you win. Was the win in Baku more special than the one in Hungary for you?
I would say definitely. I think just the amount of hard work and pressure that I was under in Baku made it much sweeter. I think Hungary was definitely special. Don't get me wrong, but I think in any kind of race where you have to work so hard for such a long part of the race, I think I said last week I've kind of had one race win like that in my career, and until Baku, it wasn't necessarily my most dominant performance or my best performance, but it's always the most exciting one. And I think now Baku takes the cake for that. But the emotion after Baku was special for different reasons compared to Hungary.
Thank you, Oscar. All right, next one. Yep.
From Dazón Spain, a question to Oscar as well. How much deep in your brain are you thinking on the World Championship as a driver?
Honestly, not much. I think for me, maintaining the lead in the Constructors' Championship now is by far a bigger target. I'm not out of the running for the Drivers' Championship, but I think now on average I need to score like it's over 10 points more per weekend than Max, I think. So, I can try and go out and win every race, but it's now at the point where, I need other things to start happening to win that. And for that to happen for 7 races in a row is, not very realistic. So, of course, I'll try and go into every weekend trying to get the best result I can. And if the picture starts to look a bit brighter, then that's a bonus. But I'm certainly under no illusion that I'm well and truly in the fight for the championship. It's more if some crazy stuff happens, then I'll be there to work my way into the fight.
Laurent Dupin from Canal Plus. A question to Oscar also. You mentioned qualifying being one of your weaknesses. It's true that from Monaco to Baku, you were always out-qualified by Lando. Do you know why, and what do you have to improve to be better on a Saturday?
I think just consistency more than anything. I think, I've not really had many sessions apart from maybe Baku where, I've been happy with my performance all the way from Q1 to the end of Q3. The gap has always been very small in pretty much all of those races. But I've always been on the wrong side of it. So I think it's just a matter of consistency. I don't feel like I need to try and find extra time or something like that. I think that my best performances are good enough to qualify on pole position in the right circumstances. But I just need to be at that level more consistently.
Thank you. Dick?
Diego Mejia, Fox Sports Mexico for Valtteri. Valtteri, is the fact that the car hasn't been really competitive this year further complicated things in terms of securing your future with the team? I mean, we look at Franco comes in, Williams is at a good level, and suddenly he seems like a candidate for your seat.
Yeah, it's how the sport is. I think it's not just this season, but if you look at this season and the last season, when you're fighting towards the back, obviously it's much less visible on what you can do and what kind of performances are you having, and it's pretty much against your teammate. You can have a comparison. So for sure, it's you're more out there if you're fighting, within the points and towards the front end. That's just how it goes. So for sure, it has not been helping the situation, but yeah, there are still people in the paddock who know, what the real performance is, and especially within the team, they know how I'm performing weekend to weekend, and that's the main thing, I just need the people who need to know how I'm performing, and that's what matters.
Valtteri, in terms of your own performance, are you driving as well this year as you were when you were winning races with Mercedes?
I feel like yes, especially qualifying this year, and I haven't felt any signs of being worse. If anything, you keep getting better, with experience. You gain more consistency, more confidence. You can solve different issues in a different way, and you can, adapt to the car the more time you spend in the sport. So I feel actually I'm driving better than what I did at Mercedes, but obviously it's not that visible.
Thanks for that. Any more from the broadcasters? Yes, Diego, back to you.
Question to Oscar. There's a lot of talk about the rear wing on the McLaren after a few videos emerged on social media. Is it too much fuss about a few millimeters?
So what was the question? Is it too much fuss about a few millimeters? Well, I mean, it's legal. So, yeah, as long as it passes all the tests, we get tested a lot, and it passes. So, yeah, I mean, it's certainly not the magic ticket or magic bullet for why we're competitive, but it's legal. It passes all the tests. So, I'm pretty happy with it.